Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Thanks for joining me. Today is January 23rd. It's 9 a.m., and you're live with the Retail Doc. So do me a favor and give me some thumbs up. Let me know you're out there, and also type in where you are joining me from, because we always have people from around the world who jump in, and some of them I've met before, but an awful lot of you I don't. And we have Sales RX's online, my online training. We're on 4 continents, and I'm always surprised sometimes people in so many different time zones check in from Australia or somewhere just to stay up late, just to see what we're up to. So type in where you're joining me from today. It always takes a little bit of time to warm up there. Hey, Nancy, North Carolina. Well, that's close to me. I'm up in New York. So today I wanted to talk about UPT. And by the way, if you have any questions during my time when I'm on, you can type them in the comment section there as well while you're typing in where you're joining me from. So what is UPT? It's the units per transaction. And it's really an important metric for an awful lot of retailers. And number one, it's the number two way that you can most change your sales. What's the number one way? Convert more lookers to buyers. That is called the conversion rate. And that is definitely the most important, because if a lot of people are walking in the door and they're not walking out with a bag from you, chances are really good that you're not doing the job, your crew is not trained, you're out of product, or all the above, especially today. Hey, Rachel, glad you're here from Ohio. Donna from Massachusetts. Richard, all the way from England on lunch. I love that, Richard. Heidi, brisk Saratoga Springs. Yeah, but not as brisk as the other day. It was like -7 here, I think. Julie from Midland, and David and Sherry, always great to have you join us. So, the other reason why UPT is so important is the number one thing that your crew can most affect. And I just happen to notice Sherry and Dave are with us. They're picture framers, and I know an awful lot of picture framers that take an idea that, oh, this is what you need, and you don't need anything more than that. Well, that's one way to look at picture framing. Or you could say, how high is up, right? You could say, oh, well, let's try it with these 3 different mats, and let's do that. Or let's also frame this with museum glass. Oh, well, museum glass is way too expensive. I wouldn't do it for something like that. It's really not for you to judge. And that's really the crux of the problem with UPT right now, that an awful lot of retailers either are short staffed, or they have no training, or they've gone through and they have let employees sell out of their own wallets. And usually all three of those are tied together right now. And what that means is that the person who could have used more items isn't buying them from you. They're buying them once they get home from somebody else. And why is that such a big deal? Because once somebody says yes, it's much easier for them to say yes again. You know that yourself. You're having a good time, you're buying something, and you're like, what the heck? Let's try it. Let's see what this is like. That feeling is only going to come if you train somebody how to do it. It's not going to happen automatically, because let's face it, we live in an era where I hate you because you're wearing that color. I hate you because I see that you're something else. I've made an assumption about you because of the car you drive. I've made an assumption about you because of the way your kid's acting, or whatever it is, right? And the goal of retailers is to love everybody when they walk in the door, because that feeling, that transference, a feeling of welcoming and encouraging, has to be modeled first by your employees. And if they're afraid of employees, I get it. There's some isolated instances where, there was mask problems and there have been belligerent people, and I get it makes all the news. But 99% of your crew is not like dealing with that. 99% of your crew is still dealing with people who are excited to go out and be social and talk to other people. You know that yourself. You're telling me that every day. So I'll tell you about how to raise your give you 2 ideas of how to raise your UPT in just a second. How many of you spend time, put it in yes or no, how many spend time training your crew on UPT right now? Put a yes or a no in the just a Y or an N. Let me know you're there, right? And by the way, you can always still do that. Or if you're on LinkedIn, you can always give me applause, and you can always subscribe to my channel on YouTube, because it's going across multiple channels this morning. So aim for the stars and hit for the moon. There you go. That's exactly it. Hi, Stu from Maine. Katie, glad you're here this morning. Yes, yes. Great lesson that we never can assume what another can afford. Yeah, that's a really big deal, because so many times we go through and we don't mention it, we don't train it. And here's the thing, you can mention it without training all the time. What does that mean? you can always say, "Oh, you need to add on to that. You can do this." But the problem is if it's broken, if you haven't gone through and built rapport, if you haven't engaged this stranger in a way that makes them feel like, "Hey, I trust you. I want to listen to you," then anything else you're trying to do probably falls flat. We all know what that feels like if you bought an electronics at Best Buy or something, and the guy or gal hasn't said a word to you really, like, "Do you have this? Oh, it's over here. Uh, let me ring it up for you." That's about the equivalent. And then they say, "You want to get our additional warranty on this? It'll do this and this and this," because they're being judged on that, mystery shopped on that, and that's the marker that the brands have done. That add-on is really paramount. The problem is it doesn't work because they haven't gone through and built trust throughout the engagement, so it comes off flat and you're like, "What? No, I don't want that." And you feel offended that that's the last thing you remember about the brand. Am I right? Am I right? Of course it is, because you're listening to me. So two ways that you can grow your UPT is just really simple. It could be anything from let's say you're a wine store and you're used to selling people the same wine every week or couple weeks or whatever it is. Just before you get to the counter, you just ask, "Have you ever gone to find a wine opener and you can't find it?" And they're all gonna be like, "Great, I've got a perfect one right here," and you hand it to them. You don't ask them. You just hand it to them, whatever it's gonna be. Yes, of course, if you're in like Heidi, you've got a beautiful outfit and you can show them the scarf and have them try it on. The key for the second way is you just have them try it on. You don't ask them to try it on. You don't ask if they'd want to see it. We would you like to look at a pair of pants to go with that? You don't do that. You go, "Follow me. I have something I want to show you." And you just go. You don't like wait for them. You just go and they will follow you. And you better have the right thing that goes exactly with that. Don't just be like, "And here's where we have all of our pants." You better have something in mind that's going to go with them. But your goal is to lead them to the add on. Your goal is not to ask for the add on. It's a loser's limp. Do you want to shop around some more? No. And where does that come from? It comes from no training because the employee is beating the customer to the sales counter. Now, yeah, some of you can check out on your phone and everything else, but it usually gets co-opted. Your UPTs usually don't reach their potential because the employees decided they're done. I don't want to be pushy. I know Mary Grace, who was our director of customer success for Sales X a couple of years ago, told me the story of her mom had bought the bike and the guy just sold her the bike. Now, this is during the pandemic, just sold her the bike. So when Mary Grace came over, she's like, "Well, we still need to get at least get you a bell or something." So they go back to the store with the bike to get it tuned up. And so Mary Grace goes, "Well, do you want to show her a bell so she's got something, to let people know when she's passing?" "Oh, we've got that. Okay." And then Mary Grace says to her mom, "Well, when you want a water bottle, that's where that goes. And you're going for long trips." And it's like, "Oh yeah, they're over here." And then she goes, "And you're going for trails, so you want a place to put your phone because you don't want it to fall out. So we have that." And the salesman, no lie, stops and says to her, "Give your mother a poor break. She just wanted to get the bell." I'll let you think on that for a minute. Give your mom a break. You're doing my job. Give her a break. And a lot of our employees have been through a lot of crap right now. And I get it. It's getting a lot of play. There's a lot of people that are saying, "Oh, retail's boring. It's the same thing over and over again." Yeah, well, you know what? So is a surgeon. So is a dentist. So is a teacher. There's a lot of professions where everything is pretty much the same for all of us. So don't let them tar and feather us with retail. If anything, every customer is a new experience. It's a new chance to wake up your day. It's a new chance to say, "I wonder how high is up," right? But we've gotten so coarse and so callous on how we talk to people, again, because we haven't been trained, that it's easy to think of them as something to get through. I just need to get through them. We're just so busy. I just need to get them out the door. Okay, well, that's fine. But as demand starts to go down, which it will, and as customer behavior normalizes, you're going to wish for those days when you could have added on to all of those. So it's really a big choice that you have there. Yeah, exactly. Wow, exactly. Uh, yeah, Ellie, that's great. I show that. Yeah, exactly. You put on the bracelet. You say, "Here, take a look at it in the mirror." You don't say, "Would you like to try that on?" No, because trying it on is 9/10 of the game. Just get it on for them. Hey, Lewis, glad you're here this morning. Glad you're here. Yeah, and it's and people get this idea that it is somehow pushy, but at the end of the day, what's pushy? I came in to spend money. You're supposed to help me spend money. That's our role here. I'm the salesperson. I'm here to help you get that. Your job is to buy. Then we get that when we get that together, we understand, oh, that's how retail works. And that's how selling anything works. Selling is nothing more than the transference of feeling. Because I like it, you'll like it, right? So imagine when I go into a art gallery and no one says a word to me, and you're trying to sell thousands of dollars of paintings, and you just expect that I'm going to magically come to this, and you're not going to help me come to the place where I say, I'll take that. You think that the painting can do it. Well, you know what? Usually they can't. And an awful lot of times, the best galleries, I think, just miss it because not only don't they get the sale, they don't get the most important thing, which is converting lookers to buyer. But the second thing, which is what we're talking about this morning, is that units per transaction. That's what matters the most. I don't care if you're a donut shop, whatever it is, the goal is how high is up. And when you let your employees self Sandy, that might be you. I'm not seeing anyone saying anything else but that. So hopefully it's not me. Uh, so the we have a couple of sales RX people who've told me they've doubled their UPT. Well, the only way that comes is you build the front end of the sale, which is building the trust and all of the things that make it matter and make it fun. And then that adding on at the end becomes just like a friend shopping with another friend. If you don't have that, then it becomes this odd, you want to get fries with that or something, which just comes off hollow, right? So it's funny. I had this woman say, I can't get sewing machines, so I don't need sales training. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Just, I get it. You all have supply chain issues, but even more so, you're going to have to sell what you have. I don't care if it's 2 years old. I don't care if it's 2 weeks old. At the end of the day, that's your money sitting there. And unless you just want to keep giving it away with 80% off discounts, you're going to have to learn how to sell it. You're going to have to learn to sell the complete picture. And that's why I wanted just to finish our time here together with letting you know about Sales RX, my online training. Some people say, why do you always put that in your videos? For one simple reason. I know it's the number one way I can quickly get you up to progress and live the life you lead. Anything else is kidding yourself. Until you fundamentally change the way you train and have your employees learn, you're probably settling for pennies when you could have dollars. I've got the testimonials to prove it. I've got the brands to prove it. The director of stores for Lego said, my only regret is we didn't do this sooner. So to help you this week, if you join this week, by Friday, we're going to start the club, and the club is 4 live sessions with me every Friday. Well, actually, me and Linda, our director of customer success, where you'll get your questions answered. We'll keep you on track. And like a good running buddy, we'll keep you going in the right way. Sometimes people are afraid they're going to fail. Well, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with Sales RX, but particularly when you just join me now, it doesn't cost you anything extra. And it's a special offer that will go through until this Friday. And our first meeting is on Friday. So I hope, Richard, as soon as I saw your message, mine froze. That's too funny. So at the end of the day, those who are able to join me, you'll be able to join me live, get your questions answered. And that's the deal. So I hope you will take this, that instead of just understanding units per transaction and just telling your employees, you need to add on to every sale. Trust me, if they could, they would have done that, and just learn that system of how it works. Because once the secret is there, you're going to say, oh, the brands I shop with, they're practicing the same thing. That's right, because you shouldn't ever know a sales process is in place. It just happens and feels easy. Remember, people hate to be sold, but we love to buy. And the way that happens is your employees understanding how the game works. And the game of retail is getting yes over and over again, and saying in such a way that the customer feels that they are thankful that they came into your store and met with you. So if you have any, can you review both things to help increase UPT? Joe, I certainly can. So the first thing is ask, have you ever? Have you ever? So at a convenience store, awkward example, but it can work for anything. A convenience store, let's say you're selling cigarettes. Okay. So in that case, you could say, have you ever gotten ready to light a cigarette and you don't have a lighter? Yes. Here's the perfect one, fits in your purse really easy. done, right? Have you ever gone through and the shoe store? Have you ever gone through and had to re-sole your shoes because they got wet? Oh, absolutely. Well, one thing you can do is spray up the bottom with this waterproofer, keeps the leather soles. I haven't done this in a while. Leather soles wear twice as fast if you just protect them. It's those kind of things. Have you ever? Have you ever? Whatever that is, have you ever? That's the number one. And then number two is you try it on. You don't ask to try it on. You don't say, "Would you like to see that watch?" You get your butt over to the counter. You take off your little scrunchie of keys, and you say, "Here, take a look at this." And you hand it to them in your hand, and most people will take it. And now look at it in the mirror. You don't ask them. You don't ask them to figure out the price or any other garbage. Get it. So, two ways. Have you ever? And then trying it on. Sandra, you owe it. Well, because this is so great, I have to put it up there. Sandra, you owe it to yourself to join Sales RX. It makes training simple, the customer experience positive and consistent, and your life as a manager or owner less stressful. Well, I couldn't say that any better, Sandra. So thank you for joining us today. And you are one of our stellar stars. So we appreciate the journey that you've gone through and your dedication to getting it right. That's really the key, too. One of the first things we're going to talk about on Friday is going to be how do you create a culture of accountability? That's really where it all starts. Because if you don't hold yourself accountable, you don't go through and learn the things that need to happen for you to be able to be accountable to yourself. How in the world do you ever hold other people accountable? That's why a lot of people fail in retail, why a lot of restaurants, a lot of retailers struggle because they've never really learned that. And because of that, they either shrink from it and say, oh, well, I don't want to, disturb anybody, or they run it so tight that nobody wants to work there and it's just constantly pounding and pounding and pounding. There's got to be a better way. And I'll share that with you if you join the club this week. Then how do you do it? Just go to salesrx.com and you just hit that buy now button and you join it and you're automatically in, and we'll follow up with a video explain how that all works. But in the meantime, remember, the number one way to increase your sales is to grow conversions, lookers to buyers. Number two is to grow your units per transaction. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc.